Imagine this. It's a Monday morning and a colleague, after enjoying 1 month of vacation in the cold, barges into my office at 9 o'clock, exclaiming, "Sultan, we must bring this in Trinidad. We must bring this. We must bring it to the National Commercial Bank. It fits into our philosophy." He hands me a Toastmasters magazine and some promotional material. I waltzed into the office of the managing director, Philip Rushford, and shared with him the material and our intent to start that movement in the bank. There was no selling. There was no need to sell. Hence, in recording the history of the Toastmasters movement in Trinidad, our managing director, Philip Rushford, is regarded as our patron. The Toastmasters out of Bahamas to come to Trinidad and train us. They came in December of 1984. We applied for charter status in April of 1985. In May, we were granted our charter, and in June, that eminent jurist, Ulrich Kors, installed the first executive of a Toastmasters club in Trinidad and Tobago. National Commercial Bank wanted to create a new experience for the citizens and customers of this country. It was clear that they also wanted to provide opportunities for people like us, not only to be on the outside looking in at banks, but to actually occupy, lead, and manage within the banking sector. We dedicated $14.5 million to build a learning center in Chaguanas, housing the learning center as well as a bank. The intention was to build mindsets capable of serving Trinidad and Tobago with products and service they never saw before, and being led by people like you and I. We collaborated with the University of the West Indies in hosting intercollegiate debating competition for campuses from the United States, Guyana, Suriname, the British Virgin Islands, and the region. We collaborated with the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, and the early set of youth debaters had the privilege of being trained by us, Toastmasters. We did speechcraft training for the youths throughout the country, and we worked with the franchise holder of Miss Universe, and we trained contestants in a program we call Connecting with the Universe. We have the good fortune to have actually trained the batch of contestants that year when Wendy Fitzwilliam brought glory to this country.
In a way, we were pioneers, we were innovators, because this was the first club in Trinidad and Tobago. It offered us so many opportunities. For me, back then, the issue of gender did not arise, at least not in my mind. It was about finding the person who had the competence, the capabilities to lead the club. And when that confidence was thrown on me by my colleagues, because we had elections and I was selected, I just felt very proud, and I wanted to take up the leadership mantle. I wanted to do well. The Toastmaster methodology has several pieces to it, okay? So, you creep before you walk. So you start at the lowest level, and then there are gradations to, more levels of competence in terms of presentation skills and speaking and so on. And you get an opportunity to practice the delivery, following the guidelines, and most importantly, feedback. Both the ability to practice before your peers in a comfortable and safe environment, and then you get the feedback or the evaluation in a way that is helpful but not punitive. And you use the feedback, of course, one has to be open, right? Humility is also important, to recognize that there can always be improvement.
That is where we take people from hardly even knowing how to do a public speech to being able to stand up bravely and positively in front of a large crowd and deliver exactly what they want to see. We had to go online during the pandemic. And those who joined during the pandemic, somebody spoke for the first time just a few weeks ago live in front of an audience. They were speaking to their computer before. They shared that experience, and it was quite interesting. And part of, therefore, building a strong club as we go forward is also having speakers who could stand up, look at a crowd, feel confident, get the energy from the crowd, and make their presence felt.
The first meeting was not necessarily the best. We had a lot of problems. A Toastmasters meeting would normally last about an hour and a half to 2 hours. This meeting lasted about, I think, close to 3 hours. We have a lot of clubs that are doing hybrid meetings, which means we meet in person and online at the same time. So we're working on that, and I think that is another great opportunity for us to develop that particular side of it and make the maximum use possible of the technology. Toastmasters using different programs. So they have Toastmasters using things for applications, online applications for timing meetings. So you can actually see a timer on your screen when you're looking at it. There are Toastmasters using various options for same AI minutes, because there are different applications. And there's also applications that you can use for translation. So I know that at the district level, for instance, our past district leader has been using a technology to translate. So I'm speaking in English and a French speaker can hear the translation of what I'm saying. So it has just been blossoming.
The well-balanced, intelligent speaker is a natural leader in any part of a group that he or she is a member of. To become a distinguished Toastmaster, you must complete 2 paths of your choosing. Those paths include visionary communication, leadership development, dynamic leadership, engaging humor, effective coaching, to name but a few. And of course, there are opportunities to coach and mentor clubs. What Toastmasters has sought to do was to recognize the increasing impact, import, and therefore took the initiative to implement something that reflected the trend towards computerization, digitalization, and more and greater use of the internet. And on that point, this is the only program I know that one can accomplish what I have just talked about at a fraction of the cost that other programs would have on offer. So it's a diagnostic tool that tells you, or recommends for you rather, specific paths based on your preferences, your tendencies, your predilections, if you will. And it is said in many places and spaces that everything rises and falls on leadership. And isn't it interesting that those persons who are effective communicators inevitably end up in leadership roles, and vice versa? If you are to be an effective leader, be it formal or informal, invariably you would demonstrate, if not naturally, certainly by development, communication skills that are consistent with your leadership capability.
Where we are today, we are proud to say that we are 21 clubs. We are now developed into 4 areas, and Trinidad and Tobago as a territory is a division. We evolved from that first club, which we pay credit to, that began the whole Toastmasters program in Trinidad and Tobago. And from that club, we had 3 other clubs that emerged. As we advanced the cause of Toastmastering and spread the secret, the greatest kept secret, we formed alliances with our regional partners. There were clubs in the other islands, and plans were put together to form a territorial council with the view of becoming a district in the future. The provisional district also afforded us to have conferences and manage our growth of the clubs. As a matter of fact, in 2005, Trinidad and Tobago had the opportunity to host one of those conferences. And again, in 2008, we had a second opportunity. It was not only the second conference that Trinidad and Tobago held, but it was the first conference when we became a full-fledged district, District 81. So as of July 1st, 2008, we no longer have a learner's permit. And today we are pleased, not only we have moved from area, but Trinidad and Tobago is a division. And in 2024, we had the golden opportunity to celebrate the Toastmasters International 100 years celebration of this great international program, which began in 1924.
So you have heard from Toastmasters, leaders in our movement, and you got a very good idea of how we move from that first club, U5796, to Division F with 21 clubs today. A most pleasing story. So, where do we go from here? It is very seldom in this life we'd have the delight of being part of the early days of generating a movement, and still with all your faculties alive, being able to look back with a sense of delight, look back in terms of 4 decades, a proud history. So you have the benefit of hindsight. And what I'm being asked to do now is to provide some insight. As a co-founder, I consider the Toastmasters movement to be in my bloodstream, to be part of my DNA. I've been blessed with this involvement. I can credit participation in this movement for quite a bit of my professional success. And with regards to NCB, that today is part of the FCB brand, I can share without any fear of contradiction that Toastmasters has played its part in providing our staff and our managers with communication and leadership competencies. It is said that you open your mouth and your standing in life is defined. Toastmasters, thank you, because you have allowed us locals to take part in the commanding heights of the economy and my assessment, and do a relatively good job, recognizing the job is not completed. I think if our founder was alive today, he would urge us to consider a reset of some of those practices. In fact, assist us in developing a strategy for today. He would urge that our priorities, that our programs, and our habits, our practices, our processes, our systems, that we look at them again with a view to using AI and neuroscience to make the meeting space more fulfilling. I think he will bring some of those neuroscientific terms that we can now access, and he would ask us to make these spaces, our meetings, a place for learning, and see how we could expand our learning mindsets. He will also look at meetings as a way for emotional workouts, where we can practice conflict resolution, compassion, where we can practice empathy, where we can demonstrate intellectual horsepower and curiosity. I am saying that the time has come as Toastmasters to craft spaces where what is referred to today as psychological safety is available. We must be able to come and bring our best selves and have the courage for it being respected, the voice, the inclusiveness. I hope this presentation in some way met that objective. Long live the movement and long live Toastmasters International.